Hello, we are from Mozambique, a country located in southern Africa, and we are living in Maputo province, and we are students of IFP Students Teachers Training Institute, and we are here doing a course to become English teachers.
You may be asking yourselves, why are we making this video? The reason of making this video is to talk about a pandemic disease which affects people around the world, and if it is not treated, it may result to death. So can you guess what disease are we going to talk about?
Good, that is, we're going to talk about HIV/AIDS, and during our presentation we'll explain what HIV is, how is it transmitted, who is the most affected people, the stage of infections, what should we do to know our status, how to prevent and how is the treatment, and how can we stop the pandemic. And we hope to help you to increase your knowledge about this disease.
Hello guys, I'm here to talk about HIV background and say that it first occurred a long time ago, around 1908 in the jungle of Congo, and it's commonly believed that it passed from monkeys to humans, mutating itself from SIV to HIV. Over many years, the virus spreads itself to other cities, continents, countries, and then all of the world was already affected. At the beginning, in the United States, it was affecting the gay community, and that condition was known as GRID, or gay-related immune deficiency. While in Africa, that condition was known as lean, because the affected people were getting lean and thin.
Many people think HIV and AIDS are the same, but they're not. HIV is something and AIDS is something else. HIV is a virus that attacks the immune system, which is our body defense against illness. HIV destroys a type of white blood cells in the immune system and makes it weak.
AIDS, or acquired immune deficiency syndrome, it's a set of symptoms caused by the virus of HIV. It is acquired because it's not congenital, but we developed it after exposure. The virus attacks the body immune system, making it vulnerable to diseases. This is the late stage of HIV.
Yes, we speak about transmission of HIV. How is HIV transmitted? There are so many ways of transmitting HIV, but here we are going to speak about some of them. We can get infected to HIV during the unprotected sex. It can be vaginal, oral, or anal sex. If we touch vaginal fluids and sperms, we can transmit HIV. And when we kiss someone who is HIV positive while both of you have wounds in or around your mouth, you can transmit HIV. When we touch opened wounds and infected blood without protection, that's another way of transmitting HIV too.
HIV can be transmitted also by sharing sharp objects which were already used by someone, such as needles, maybe when you're talking about potato needles, syringe, intravenous drugs, scissors, shaving razors, and razor blade.
HIV can also be transmitted through the breast milk. When a woman is HIV positive and feeds her baby with breast milk and artificial milk, the artificial milk can cause some wounds in the throat, and when she feeds with breast milk, the virus can enter through the wounds and transmit HIV. Also, during the pregnancy, when a woman doesn't follow the treatment correctly.
The symptoms of HIV can differ from one person to another. Many people may not get any symptoms for many years or at all. Without the treatment, the virus will get worse and worse until it becomes AIDS. The virus gets into blood and it attacks directly CD4 cells, those which are important of maintaining our immune system and fighting off disease. HIV RNA transforms into HIV DNA, and it tricks the cells to replicate the virus. And finally, the cell dies. When the virus is killed, CD4 cells, your immune system becomes weak and vulnerable of opportunistic disease such as
TB, malaria, gonorrhea, cancer, and pneumonia.
After the acute stage of HIV infection, the disease moves into a stage called clinical latency stage. Latency means a period where the virus is living or developing into the body without producing any symptoms. During this stage, the virus multiplies at a very slow rate, but it's still active. And with a proper therapy or medicine, this stage may last for several decades, but for some people may progress faster.
AIDS. This is the stage of HIV infection which occurs when your immune system is badly damaged that it can no longer fight off serious infection and disease. You become vulnerable to opportunistic disease such as cancer, pneumonia, TB, and more. You are considered to have AIDS when your CD4 count falls below 200 cells per cubic microliter of blood. A normal CD4 count ranges from 5 to 1600 cells per cubic microliter. Unfortunately, when a person with HIV progresses to AIDS, the survival rate is usually about 3 years. That means without treatment, people survive 3 years and they are prone to many infections.
Anyone can contract HIV and live with it. But according to our researches, women and girls are the most affected around the world due to unequal relationships, sexual networks, and there are less opportunity of negotiating the use of condom. You may even be wondering what are the high-risk groups, and our friend Fernando is going to tell us about the high-risk groups.
Yes, some of the high-risk groups that are likely to get the infection are prisoners, gay men, sex workers, and immigrants. So prisoners are likely to get infected because of the use of the same needle during the drug inject, and also we have the problems of rape and violence. So the other group is a gay man. So historically, gay men didn't have education about the use of protection, and the anus is vulnerable to get the virus. We have also sex workers and migrants that have large sex networks.
What are the rates around the world?
The rates around the world are like this: 37 million people infected by HIV, 0.8% of the world population. Only 54% of people are being treated. 30% don't know that they're infected. In Mozambique, we have 2.1 million people infected by HIV, and it corresponds to 13% of the Mozambican population. 36% of those people don't know that they're infected, and only 50% use the condoms, and 54% are being treated.
Everybody can get HIV around the world, but the question is, what should you do to know if you are HIV positive? Well, the only way to know for sure whether you have HIV or not is to get tested. Everyone between the age 13 to 64 should get tested as part of routine health care. Knowing your HIV status gives you powerful information to take steps to keep you, your partner, and your future children healthy.
If your test of HIV result is negative, congratulations, you are free. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you don't have HIV. That because of the window period, the time between when a person gets HIV and when the test can accurately detect it. Window period varies from person to person, and it's also different depending upon the type of HIV test. If you have a negative result, it doesn't mean that your partner is also HIV negative. So what you should do is to try to convince your partner to go with him to the hospital so that you can get a test of HIV. And if you are pregnant, you should go as soon as possible to the hospital so that you can get a test of HIV. If you are HIV positive, it will help you to reduce the risk of transmitting HIV to your little baby that is about to come.
Whenever you go to the hospital, you get tested and you find out that you're HIV positive, it means that you've got the HIV virus inside the bloodstream, so you're infected. Though it doesn't necessarily mean that you are only a few days from death. All you have to do is to seek the treatment as soon as you get to know that you're infected, and follow it strictly as recommended by the doctor. Take the antiretroviral pills in time to let them fight against the upcoming diseases and maintain the viral rate in low rate of replication.
Sometimes we get surprised like I'm still virgin but I'm HIV positive. How can it be possible? It is because people in other side think that HIV is only transmitted by having unprotected sex with someone who is infected. And they forget there are many ways of getting it. Sharing the same sharp object is the one way that we can get HIV. So, to prevent, we need to stop using the same sharp object with someone who is infected, even with someone who is not infected, because we can get other blood-borne disease. And we also have to avoid to touch wound while not wearing gloves.
Another way to prevent new infection is to know your status. So go to the hospital, get tested, because even if you discover that you're HIV positive, you can start the treatment early and live long time. Use condoms, which are 98% safe when you use them correctly. It doesn't matter if you're doing oral sex, vaginal sex, or anal sex. Use them and be happy.
No matter if someone is HIV positive, he still has the same right and deserves our respect. And more than being considered in the society, he needs to be motivated and never discriminated. We must include them in the society so that they can feel as important as they are. And it will give them a hope of living and motivation to treat themselves. So we can hug them, we can show them a smile and talk to them in a friendly way. To be HIV positive doesn't mean to be less important. So let's act wisely, let's help them and have their precious life guaranteed.
What can we do in order to reduce this epidemic? In my point of view, the government should provide more condoms in schools, and second, should provide more choice, especially in rural areas where our mothers and fathers has less information about this epidemic.
Another way of preventing from HIV is to submit to clean needle programs, and people should also follow treatments like pre-exposure prophylaxis or just PrEP, which consists on taking pills every day for high-risk people, and post-exposure prophylaxis, pills which are taken after unprotected sex. And for people who are already HIV positive, they must follow the ERT treatment because there will be no opportunistic infection and the HIV is less likely to pass on to other people.
The government and non-governmental organizations have been working together to find ways of introducing the ART in the target provinces. The aim is to provide the country with enough resources and technology that can help spreading the information of the existence and treatment of the disease. But with the economic crisis, things may not go well. In fact, there's a chance that during the next 3 years, the rates of new infections may go up. Remember, HIV can be treated and people with no help are depending on us. We can point you to some organizations that you can get more information with. Be healthy and be safe.
A vida não resume-se de uma noite, meu irmão. Tenha cuidado, que eu vou dar uma instrução. Não há desprezo, só preste muita atenção, pois já salvou muita gente dessa maldição. O SIDA é uma doença muito grave, meu irmão, e já levou muita gente à escuridão. Não quero que seja o próximo, não, meu irmão. Precisamos de jovens como tu nesta nação,